Hey guys, it's Louis here from ndxtesting.com, back here with another video. And in today's video, we're going to speak about the most important thing that you could do for your health. Okay, and I wish that I could go back into time and actually watch a video of what I'm going to speak about now, because it would have saved me a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, because sometimes before things happen, well, not sometimes, every time things happen, before you develop symptoms, right? Things start to develop within our own bodies way beforehand. And then all of a sudden, we can end up with anxiety or high blood pressure or a rapid heart rate, or perhaps insomnia, or other types of medical components that are affecting our health. And we don't know why these things are happening. And then we go to the doctor's office and they start treating symptoms, but they don't get down to the root cause. So even if nothing is wrong with you presently, and you are watching this video, you should hear this information, because I'm telling you, back in 2007, okay, when I had no symptoms whatsoever, things were developing and they were building within my body, until they exploded in 2017, 10 years later. If I had the type of education that I have now, then I would have avoided and I would have done things differently, because then you can make the adjustments. Now I can go back, you're probably asking, so how would you know what was happening in 2007? But I know what I was doing in 2007 and 8 and 10, 11 and so on. But I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have anything going on with me. And then I got sick. And that's what we have to try to avoid. So the most important thing that we could do is to take care of our health. But how do we take care of our health? Well, I'm going to tell you something. The most important thing that we could do, okay, is to be able to track our sleep. Find out exactly what's going on when we are sleeping. We need to record our sleep. Now, low oxygen levels, right, are linked to high blood pressure, anxiety, rapid heart rate, diabetes, insomnia, depression, cardiovascular disease, and other diseases that can build, but those are the most common ones. So many people today have high blood pressure, or they have anxiety. Now, that's what happened to me back in 2017. Out of nowhere, I started developing anxiety, and I never had anxiety before. I had a rapid heart rate, and then it was discovered that I had high blood pressure. Where did it come from? Doctors had no idea whatsoever. And I discovered after a year and a half then where the source it was coming from. And it was coming from my sleep, because my oxygen levels were dropping heavily, consistently. And when that happens, it can really affect your health. So now we know, so when we are awake, oxygen levels are supposed to be at 98%. That is the norm. They could go down to 96%, but usually 98. Every time I take my oxygen levels are 98%. Now, when we sleep, they do drop. They can drop in the mid 90s, and it's normal. It's normal for oxygen levels to drop a little bit when we are asleep. But when they drop into the 80s, mid 80s, and sometimes into the high 70s, that could be a huge problem later on. And it can start building. So when you don't get the right type of oxygen, when you can't level your oxygens correctly while we are sleeping, it could be a problem. So even if nothing's going on with you at the present time, or even if you believe, nah, it's not coming from my sleep, I sleep fine. Well, I slept fine too. 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And I'm breaking it down so you understand exactly what I'm saying. I didn't have a problem with my sleep, but it came from the sleep, because there were certain things that I was doing, and it came from the sleep, and we're going to go into that a little bit. Now, When we sleep, right, we need to breathe correctly. We already know from past videos that we're supposed to breathe through our nose. But some people can't breathe through your nose correctly, and they start breathing through your mouth. When you breathe through your mouth, then that could lower your oxygen levels. And when you can't breathe properly, even if you breathe through your nose, sometimes you can have your mouth closed, and you can snore, because you can snore through your nose. How do you breathe through how do you snore through your nose? Well, remember, the nose and throat, mouth, it's all connected. That's why when you go to an ENT doctor, they check everything. So when you're breathing air through your nose and it's not being processed correctly down your throat, you could make that snoring sound. But anyway, bottom line, look, what I was saying before, the most important thing that we have to do is track our sleep, because low oxygen levels are linked to what I had mentioned before. So now, obviously, we already stated that normal oxygen levels when we are awake, they're 98%. When we sleep, our oxygen levels do lower. They do get lower within the mid-90s, right? Not a big deal if they get lower within the mid-90s. That's actually normal. It's when they go into the 80s, right? It's when it could be a problem, sometimes even into the mid-70s. But if it's really quick, then that's not really a huge problem, but we need to find out why are they dropping, okay? So when they drop consistently and heavily, and these oxygen levels are low between 15, 20 minutes, that could be a huge problem. But you will never know. You will never know what's going on in your sleep unless you track your sleep. Now, I said it before in other videos, the most important thing that we could do for our health is sleeping and breathing. You can eat the best diets and you can eat the best foods and exercise. You can do whatever it takes, but if you can't breathe, it will catch up to you. But another problem is that sometimes people need to see to believe. They'll be like, I'm sleeping, okay? I don't need to track my sleep. No, you need to track your sleep. Because I said before, that is the most important thing that we could do for our health. Okay? Just like watching our weight, we need to watch our weight. We need to watch what we eat. We need to watch what we do. We need to make sure that we drink plenty of water. So sleeping, it's something that we need to know exactly what's going on. Now, I do this every single day. I track my sleep with this amazing sleeping device. And I make sure that every single night my oxygen levels are within normal range. And if they drop, I know exactly what I was doing. Now, you might say, well, that doesn't really apply to me. We still need to find out exactly if you are sleeping accordingly. We need to find out oxygen levels when we are asleep, and you need to find out your heart rate when you are asleep, and you need to find out how many times you start breathing when you are asleep, even if nothing is going on with you, because then things could develop later on. You can use preventive measures. If I had known this back in 2007, or even 2011, 2012, I would have used preventive measures, and I never would have ended up with anxiety, high blood pressure, or a rapid heart rate. Later on, I'm going to go into the app and I'm going to show you exactly what we need to do to be able to track your sleep. But again, we need to make sure that when we sleep, we have good oxygen levels. And also, when our oxygen levels drop, what happens to our heart rate? It increases. So if you're sleeping and your oxygen levels are dropping consistently, and your heart rate it's increasing, that could be a huge problem. That could be a reason why you have anxiety, or you have high blood pressure, or you have insomnia, or you have ADD, or you ended up developing cardiovascular disease, or you ended up with diabetes. But also on top of that, if you can't breathe properly when you are sleeping, and you think that you are, but you don't know because you can't document it, then it can also interfere with your physical appearance, okay? With your skin tone, with the way you look, with your hair. And guess what? With aging, it accelerates the aging process, and it affects the shape of your face. Why? Because you're not breathing accordingly. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart that the most important thing that we can do for ourselves, for our health, is to be able to track our sleep and then find out exactly what's going on in our sleep. One time I'm telling the same thing to my mother, and she was looking at me like, please, this kid doesn't know what he's talking about. I sleep accordingly. She fell asleep on my sofa. Okay? And within 5 minutes, she was snoring, and she had her mouth open at least an inch. When we sleep, our mouths are supposed to be closed, and we're supposed to be breathing through our nose. But even if our mouth is closed and we're breathing through our nose, maybe not enough air is going in, and then we still make that trickling, snoring sound. It could be mild, and then our oxygen levels could be dropping, and we have no idea until things catch up to us later on in life. But I'm telling you, but if you have, like, I'm making this video for people who have wrote comments on my channel, and people who have high blood pressure and anxiety, a rapid heart rate, depression, maybe some levels of diabetes or cardiovascular heart issues. We need to track down what's going on with our sleep, and you could do that within a week or even 2 weeks. You'll have enough information that you can submit to a physician. Now, obviously, what I'm speaking about is very similar or equal to a sleep study. Check that out. With this little device, I have a sleep study every single night. Then I can compare this to a sleep study because I had a sleep study by this company called Home Sleep. Now, it's an amazing device. I strapped it down to my chest and I hooked myself up, and I slept. And I recorded for, I gave them 2 nights. Supposed to only do it for 1 night, but the first night, I don't know if I did it correctly, and I couldn't see, okay, a video of my tracings. Like I can see with this, I can wake up the next day, wake up in the morning, I can see a full report of my sleep. Heart rate, oxygen levels, everything, when I was snoring, or if I stopped breathing, everything. And then I can make the necessary adjustments. Usually now, for the last couple of weeks, I've had, or even for a long time, good sleep. But sometimes I might slip a little bit. I'm like, oh, what did I do? Then I can make the adjustments right away, you know? And that's what we're going to speak about. We can't put all the information in one channel, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of info, so you can at least be, even if you don't do it, at least you're going to be aware. You have to be aware. Because if you're sleeping accordingly, and if you're breathing accordingly, even if you think you are, you need to document it. You need to be sure. Then you have a base of your health. And then you know for a fact, well, it's not coming from my sleep. Okay? In my case, I'm not overweight. Okay? I don't have any other issues. I had blood work, blood tests. I mean, I was perfectly fine. And doctors were like, well, you know what? They thought it was psychological. They thought it was mental, but I knew for a fact that it was within my body. But anyway, I have made videos about that. This is not really about me. This is about you. And I just want everyone to know that the most important thing that they could do for their health is to track their sleep. So I'm going to show you guys how this works. I'm also going to leave a link. You can go into the link. I'll take you to a website, and you can read more about this device that can basically save your life. Anyway, so going back, I kind of went in another direction. Going back to the Home Sleep, the sleep study that I had by a company called Home Sleep. Very professional. I got the results, and then I went to a sleep apnea doctor, and he told me the results. So he said that I stopped breathing about 30 times in the entire night. Now, when you stop breathing, you might say, well, I don't stop breathing. I sleep fine. Well, I slept fine that night too. I didn't know I stopped breathing, because you're not going to wake up. Not every time, just only when it goes to really, only when your oxygen levels drop that you can't, the brain's not getting the right type of oxygen, then you wake up. Okay? So if you're sleeping and you suddenly wake up gasping for air, it's because your oxygen levels drop so low that you had to wake up, because if you don't wake up, then that's a huge problem. So he said that I stopped breathing about 30 times, but seconds, not a lot. Seconds, then I go back. Okay? And I was like, wow, 30 times. I mean, I thought that was like severe. He told me, no, that's very, very mild. Okay? In 6 hours, very mild for 30 times. It's like 5 times an hour. I was like, so what's bad? There's people who do that 30 times in an hour. These are heavy snorers, heavy, and people that are maybe overweight and they have some other breathing problems, and they have some serious issues, So in my case, it was very mild. But obviously, in that particular case, that particular night when I stopped breathing 30 times, well, I didn't use some of the components that I use, so that does not happen to me, because I really wanted to find out exactly what happens if I go to sleep normal. Now, in another video, I'm going to show you exactly the stuff that I do, so this stuff does not happen to me. Now, I don't have a CPAP machine. I don't use that because I really don't need it. And I think that's really, really uncomfortable. And I feel bad for people who use that and people who don't know any better. I mean, listen, there are some patients who need a CPAP machine. I didn't need a CPAP machine, but if I didn't know any better, if I wasn't in the medical field, if I didn't do the research, then I'll probably have a CPAP machine, because that's what the doctors will probably recommend. But the ENT doctor, the sleep apnea dentist, they gave me the results, right? He made me a dental appliance. The dental appliance, I put it in my mouth and it helps me. It opens up the airways a little bit, right? But I found it a little bit uncomfortable. I can't sleep with that thing. So I do other stuff. I can't use that dental appliance. But some people could. But the dental appliance is a lot better than using a CPAP machine, that's for sure. Because imagine you're traveling and you suffer from sleeping disorders, and then you gotta take a CPAP machine. It's 10 times better to have a dental appliance that can push your bottom jaw forward, and then you're gonna have enough air going in. You won't snore. You'll be perfectly fine. But anyway, I do some other stuff that I've discovered throughout the time, and I sleep perfectly fine. I wake up full of energy. So you might think, well, I don't have any breathing, any issues, but you need to find out if you don't. Okay, and even if symptoms are not developing, if you don't have any symptoms could be developing within your body, like it happened to me a very long time ago. Now, even if I don't patch myself up, I could still sleep accordingly. But I don't really take any chances. But sometimes I do. But I have the sleeping. I always sleep with this because I want to know every night that if I slip or something happens, my oxygen levels drop. I'll know, and I'll be like, okay, this is exactly what I did, and then I can correct it. I'm always making necessary adjustments to know exactly what's going on. So I'm going to go into the app, and I'm going to show you my sleep history so you can see for yourself how this works. And I'm telling you, if you get this, it can definitely change your life, and you can get rid of some of the medical conditions that you have. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so when I wake up in the morning, right, I go right into my app, right, and then I go to the date of the recording. It would be 2/4, February the 4th. Let's click into it. It automatically, I get to see that my average oxygen level is 97%, right? But actually, hold on, let me go back here a little bit so I can show you guys something. So here, right on top, right, my oxygen level score was 99.5. 9.5, 10 is perfect, so 9.5 is pretty close to perfect. This is what I see as soon as I go into the app, and then I see that my lowest oxygen level was at 91%, which is, pretty good. Like I said before, oxygen levels are going to drop, but 91%, it's not bad while you're sleeping. It's actually pretty good. And then I have 5 drops. 5 drops went to I think anything over 4% is considered a drop. Okay, so it'd be 98. I think they start calculating that at 93%. All right, so now I go into the app. I go inside now for a closer look, and I can see my oxygen levels. So my oxygen levels, my average oxygen level is 97%. So it's just pretty good. We already know that the lowest was 91%, and I could see a couple of drops there. Let's say one, two, then three, four, five, right, and then I don't know what happened, but the drops were pretty mild. Let's see, drops over 4% here. You see 5%, and then I was under for it was really quick, not even a second. I see here that drops at over 90% were nothing. So it was pretty good. Okay, so now what I mean, sometimes you can your oxygen levels can drop, and then you could be under for a very long time. So if your oxygen levels drop, let's just say at 85%, which is pretty low, and you're there for 15 minutes with low oxygen levels, that can definitely affect your health. Now, let's just say you go to 85%, but if you come out of there pretty quick, within seconds or within 10 seconds, it's not too bad. So this sleep study gives you key information as far as what's going on in your sleep. All right, so let's keep on here because I'm talking a little bit too much. So my pulse rate, it's average 65 beats per minute, so that's actually very good. You can see your heart rate um, here. So it's actually so you get a lot of information about your oxygen levels and your heart rate. And then a little lower, then it goes into your score. I see my score, and then I can see if it's anything was lower than 90%, nothing. Drops over 4% was only 5, which is pretty good. So this is excellent. Um, not a bad sleep. And I think total recording was at 4 hours and 16 minutes. Now, I don't wear this ring device all night. I might wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just take it off. Not that it bothers me, but I just sometimes I take it off. Sometimes I leave it on all night for 8 hours, but sometimes I do take it off. So let's go see another one. All right, so let's see two, three. I have a perfect score, 10. My lowest oxygen level was 93%, and I had no drops. It was pretty good. Let's see how long I recorded. I recorded 3 hours and 7 seconds, but sometimes I might wake up once. Sometimes I wake up once. Got to go to the bathroom, so when I do that, I take the ring off right away, and then I might go back to sleep and not put it on. But I'm always recording. I'm always getting key information as far as what's going on in my sleep because the objective is to find out if your oxygen levels are dropping to dangerous levels, and if they are they staying there, or you're coming out of that? You want to know if your breathing is really getting implicated, and you want to know your heart rate because when your oxygen levels drop, your heart rate is going to increase. So this application, this sleeping device gives you that key information. And listen, and I'm not just blowing smoke here. I told you guys that I've been using this for a long time. Okay, now look at all this history here. Okay, oh, a lot of history here. I could go back to, I don't know when I started using this thing, but this is a new app, right? And then I have recordings from January 16, 2022. So it's been a year for sure, but this it's not going to hold more than a year. And I started using this way before that. But there's been times where let me give you guys a bad sleep. Look, this one here, I had 11 drops. So my score was 7.8. My lowest oxygen level was 90%. You can see it here. I had 11 drops. Look, a lot of activity there. But still not too bad because my average oxygen level was 96%. I don't know what happens. Sometimes you can have a bad night. You record it for an hour and 17 minutes. Maybe I had a couple of glasses of wine. I don't remember. That was a long time ago. Let me see if because mostly everything is pretty good. I monitor my sleep and I know what I'm doing. But sometimes I can have a bad night. Let me see if I can find something. Let me see if I can find a bad night here real quick, because I know there's been times when I've been alarmed. Look, I had this one, 13 drops. But I know I have another one. I think I've seen one with 17 drops. Look at this. It was really bad. Look at that. Okay? Average oxygen level, not bad, 96%. Okay. My pulse rate, 70 beats per minute. But I had a drop. Look at that orange. Okay, so almost going into the red zone. Okay. That's not good. I don't know what happened. I had a score from perfect score from 10 to 7.9. And look, I was under 40 seconds. So that wasn't a good night, you know? But it's not bad either. To have 17 drops in 3 hours, actually, if I continue that for 6 hours, that's 34 drops. It's still very mild, but I don't want these results. Okay, my lowest oxygen level went up to 85%. So maybe I was sick, maybe my nose was clogged, or I wasn't breathing correctly. You know, sometimes things happen, and listen, and I'm aware of the situation. Okay, so when you're not aware of what's going on to your sleep, trust me when I'm telling you, there's stuff going on, and you need to find out. Okay, because like I said before, from low oxygen levels, you can get you can get you can develop high blood pressure, you can develop low levels of sleep apnea, but the bottom line is that you need to find out exactly what's going on with your sleep. And I think that this device, it's key. It's equivalent to that sleep study that I have. And without this device, I would not know what's going on in my sleep, and I'm used to it already, and I have to find out. Everyone should track what's going on with this sleep. Like I said before, even if you don't have any symptoms, you want to be able to use preventive measures to take care of your health and to make sure that nothing develops from your sleep. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.